When the alien queen sat beside me without guards, everything changed. No one on the council platform had expected the queen to move. The chamber of Keras Prime was built for distance. Vast, circular, layered with balconies and force barriers, it ensured that power never had to sit too close to danger. Rulers watched from elevated thrones. Envoys stood at marked points. Guards lined every path. And yet, in silence that felt heavier than gravity, Queen Althea rose from her throne. Her attendants stiffened. Advisors whispered warnings through private channels. The guards tightened their grips on polished weapons. Across the chamber, the human delegation froze, unsure if this was ceremony or threat. The queen ignored them all. She descended the steps slowly, her long robes brushing the stone, her expression calm in a way that unsettled everyone present. She crossed the chamber, past the guard line, past the safety fields, until she reached the simple metal bench assigned to the human liaison. Then she sat, no guards, no barrier, just stone between them. Every breath in the chamber stopped. The human, Elias Ward, did not move. He had been trained for this moment, though never for this exact shape of it. His training covered ambush, interrogation, execution, and false mercy. It had never covered what to do when the most powerful being on the planet chose vulnerability. He kept his hands visible, his posture relaxed, his eyes forward. The queen studied him from less than an arm's length away. "You are smaller than the reports suggest," she said softly. "So are you," Elias replied, equally calm. A ripple of shock passed through the chamber. Advisors scrambled to mute the live feeds. Guards took half a step forward, then stopped, frozen by protocol. The queen laughed. A genuine sound, light and brief. "That," she said, "is why I am here." Keras Prime had never hosted humans before. The galactic archives labeled them as unpredictable, emotionally volatile, and excessively territorial. Not dangerous enough to purge, not trustworthy enough to embrace. A species placed carefully on the outer edge of diplomacy. Until now, the war on the southern rim had changed everything. Entire fleets lost, core worlds burned. And at the center of the chaos was a single human task, force that had refused evacuation orders and stayed behind to hold a collapsing line they had not won, they had endured. The queen turned slightly toward Elias. "Tell me," she said, "why your people stayed." Elias did not answer immediately. He knew the translators would capture every pause, every heartbeat variation. "Because leaving would have been easier," he said finally, "and easier is not always right." Silence followed, not the tense kind, the listening kind. "You lost 47% of your force," the queen said. "Yes, you gained nothing. We gained time." "For whom?" "For everyone else." The queen leaned back, studying the chamber now. "Do you know what my advisors said when they learned I would sit beside you? That it was unsafe." "They said it was foolish," she corrected. "They said humans inspire chaos, that proximity would invite betrayal. And yet you came. Because every species that has ever overthrown a throne did so from a distance." The queen said, "Only those who intend peace dare to sit close." Elias turned to face her fully for the first time. "Then you understand us better than your archives suggest." "I understand fear," she replied, "and courage that pretends it is not afraid." Around them, the chamber remained frozen. The guards were statues. The counselors were barely breathing. The queen lowered her voice. "If I were to be harmed here, my empire would burn your worlds. Yes, if I were to rise and leave unharmed, nothing would change. Yet. But if I sit," she said, tapping the stone bench lightly, "and trust you, everything might." Elias met her gaze. "Trust is a risk, Your Majesty." She smiled faintly. "That is why it has value." The session resumed, though nothing was the same. Questions once directed through layers of protocol were now spoken plainly. The queen asked Elias about human command structures, not as data points but as philosophies. He spoke of decentralized authority, of initiative encouraged rather than punished, of soldiers trained to think instead of obey blindly. The council listened. When asked why humans lacked rigid hierarchy, Elias answered simply, "Because our history taught us that power concentrated too tightly eventually collapses inward." The queen nodded slowly. Later, she asked about human loyalty. "It is not owed to leaders," Elias said. "It is earned through shared hardship. And if a leader fails, then they are replaced." The chambers stirred at that. "You speak of removal as if it is natural," one counselor said sharply. "It is," Elias replied. "Anything that cannot be questioned eventually breaks." The queen raised a hand, silencing the objection. "When my predecessor ruled," she said, "she believed stability came from control. Her reign lasted centuries. And yet, here we are, surrounded by fire." She turned back to Elias. "Your people burn quickly. Mine burn slowly. Perhaps that is why neither of us survives alone." As the session drew to a close, the queen did something unprecedented. She stood, then extended her hand, not to the council, but to the human. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Elias rose and took it. Her grip was firm, steady. "For the duration of your stay," she said, "you will walk beside me. No barriers, no shadows." "Many will see that as weakness," Elias said. "They already do," the queen replied. Let them. The days that followed shook the planet. The queen and the human walked openly through the capital. Markets paused. Citizens stared. No guards flanked them. Only distant observers, powerless to intervene. Rumors spread faster than light. Some claimed the human had threatened her. Others said she was testing him before execution. A few whispered something far more dangerous, that she trusted him. On the third day, an attempt was made. A weapon fired from a balcony. Silent, precise. Elias moved before thought. He stepped into the path, body twisting, taking the impact across his shoulder. The force knocked him down hard, blood staining the stone. The queen screamed. Guards swarmed. The attacker was neutralized within seconds. Medics rushed forward. Elias pushed himself up, ignoring hands reaching for him. "You're hurt," the queen said, her voice shaking. "I've had worse," he replied. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you do that?" He looked at her, surprised by the question. "Because you trusted me, and trust goes both ways." That moment became history. That feed spread across the empire. Citizens saw their queen kneeling beside a wounded human, her hands stained red. They saw her order the guards back. They heard her voice crack, and they understood. When Elias recovered, the queen addressed the council again. This time, she stood beside him. "Strength," she said, "is not isolation. It is choosing who stands close." She turned to Elias. "Your people are invited into our inner alliance, not as subjects, not as tools, as partners." The chamber erupted. Protests, outrage, fear. The queen raised her hand once. "Anyone who believes humans are dangerous," she said, "we should ask why they bled for a throne that was not theirs." Silence fell. Elias did not smile. He simply stood, aware that the weight of worlds had shifted slightly, dangerously, beautifully. Later, as the sun dipped below the spires, the queen and the human sat again on the same bench. "You changed my empire," she said quietly. "No," Elias replied. "You chose to." She looked at him. "Will your people honor this?" "They will," he said. "Because when someone sits beside us without guards, we remember it." The queen leaned back, watching the sky. "Then everything has changed." And for the first time in generations, the galaxy believed her.